got your guy. Certainly no smoking deals out there like when you deal with Bill O'Brien and he doesn't like somebody and he just deals them away. But you got Stephon Diggs. Minnesota gets that pick, and well, we've talked about what they've done with that. So in the second round, you get a first rounder, really by a lot of eyes out there. AJ Epineza, defensive end from Iowa. Bloomy reminds me of Robert Ayers, and maybe the best version of Robert Ayers, right? Because there's a couple of different versions of Robert Ayers that NFL fans may remember. The one with the Broncos, who was disappointing as a first rounder, and then the one that moved on and he was okay. Robert Ayers was okay. So AJ Epineza set the edge as a defensive end. Got some strength as a pass rusher, not a ton of moves there. Their third round pick is a player that will take them down memory lane, Bloom, because I texted Big E, my best friend who's a Bills fan, and I said, Zach Moss is Marshawn Lynch. He's like this, my son. Now, he's not exactly like that, but if you want a tough runner who takes no prisoners, takes no shut your mouth, that's exactly who Zach Moss is. So interesting with Devin Singletary already there. He'll take on the Frank Gore mold or role for this team. So we'll see how that works out, but there's a lot to be excited about with Zach Moss there. Gabriel Davis, 4th round pick, wide receiver at UCF. 5th round pick, quarterback Jake Fromm, quarterback from Georgia, of course. Everyone knows the name, knows his game, and at this point, you look at him as a developmental guy. I'm not against this pick at all. I know some people are like, what do they do? Like, Jake Fromm's no threat to Josh Allen. Jake Fromm is a developmental guy. If he turns into something, you flip him. Flip him for a 3rd rounder. That's what you do in the NFL. So to get this guy, a very, toolsy guy, smart guy, doesn't have that rocket arm, we know, but, to get Jake Fromm at that spot that they did, I've got zero issue with that pick. Tyler Bass, a kicker from Georgia Southern. Let's talk about Isaiah Hodgins, wide receiver, Oregon State, and Dane Jackson, a cornerback from Pittsburgh, who rounded out the Bills' 2020 NFL draft.
Gotta love the AFC right now, right, Cecil? I mean, you got Kansas City setting the pace. Indy's making a push. Buffalo's making a push. Denver, we'll get to them, save the best for last, right? They're doing some very, very interesting things. Of course, Pittsburgh has their shrinking window, but Ben Roethlisberger with that defense, see what can happen there. Fascinating times. I like Buffalo using their 1st round pick on Stephon Diggs instead of drafting a wide receiver. Let's go for it while, of course, Josh Allen is in his rookie contract, and they gave up some later picks, some 3rd-day picks also, but it's a good move, and it's a reasonable contract, and we'll see how long Diggs stays happy. He's not going to be the guy. Josh Allen have some scattershot accuracy downfield. We'll see. 2nd round, Epinesa, and speaking of memory lane, Aaron Schable. Bills fans should remember him fondly. Again, and this is a classic evaluation where is Epinesa twitchy? Is he going to be a bendy, turn the corner, cream the quarterback speed rusher? No. He is powerful. He plays with a mean streak. He's a tough customer. He's going to provide lots of inside pressure. Here's a picture for you, Cease. Epinesa next to Ed Oliver on passing downs, having to deal with that, having guards and centers, having to deal with those guys doing stunts and twists and all kinds of fun stuff inside. I like Epinesa. I love this fit. And as you said, 1st round pick. And again, keep this in mind as we march through the 32 teams, number 20, 25 to number 60, maybe 65 or later, pretty level. So teams with those 2nd round picks getting some players with a lot of value. Zach Moss, and the season reminds me of Tyrone Moss. The burst is not there. The burst is just not there. Okay. Like Zach Moss is always going to be, he's never going to win like the running back room races. Okay. He's an excellent pass blocker. You want to have some fun watching pass blocking tape? Watch Zach Moss blow guys up. Good pass catcher, and he's a better short yardage option. He's tough to bring down. He's really tough to bring down. If you let him get out in the open field, it's kind of scary to have to tackle this guy. Perfect compliment for Devin Singletary. Didn't overdraft him. I'm fine with using a 3rd round pick. And again, right now, it makes the offense a better offense. I don't know what happened to poor TJ Yeldon. They get a couple of receivers on the 3rd day. Gabriel Davis, as a Pitt fan, you remember this. All you see Gabriel Davis do is run down the sideline and go up and get it. Now, I'm not sure what else there is to his game, but that sounds fine to replace John Brown a year or two from now. Similarly, Isaiah Hodgins has that go up and get it game, the win at the catch point game. Maybe he can back up Stephon Diggs. You mentioned Jake Fromm and the quality there, developing him. Very different from Josh Allen. You know, they were talking about quarterback types. Very, very, very different. But what do you want a backup quarterback? Because Josh Allen puts his body at risk. What do you want from a backup quarterback? Come in, run the plays as they're drawn up. And the thing about Jake Fromm is he's the kind of quarterback that if you're putting Cole Beasley and John Brown and Stephon Diggs and Dawson Knox out there, he can just make the read, deliver the ball on time, and maybe do more eventually. Tyler Bass, Stephen Hauschka had a rough year last year. So obviously, I would say Bass is probably the favorite. Dane Jackson, don't get to talk about a lot of Pitt guys this year. Pitt, not the best program at creating wins, but they create pros. He can probably hang. This team has been pretty good at developing defensive backs. So you got to love it if you're a Bills fan. Things continuing to go up and no Tom Brady in the division anymore.
Right. Who is ready to take this division? Who is ready to seize that brass ring? The Buffalo Bills have positioned themselves to do just that. Let's talk about their undrafted guys, and not a lot here, but Trey Adams, I cannot tell you, Bloom. Text messages, messages on Twitter, like during the draft, I'm on the whole draft, going busy. Phone, they're like, what's the matter with Trey Adams? What's the matter with Trey Adams? What's the matter with Trey Adams? I'm like, here, let me Google that for you. I mean, he's hurt. And banged up, but a player that certainly I wasn't necessarily watching the TV broadcast. I had it on, but I was broadcasting myself. Bloom, I'm just saying this so that I guess ESPN had him up as like one of their top remaining players for 2 days basically. Sure, fine, he's talented, he's hurt, who knows what'll happen there, but the Bills got him undrafted offensive line, Washington, Trey Adams. There you go.
Yeah, and Adams and Cease, if you are a Washington Huskies fan, remember back to the national champion team. I was in high school whenever they won the national championship. If you are a Washington Husky fan and you see Trey Adams go undrafted and you see Hunter Bryant go undrafted and you see Salvin Ahmed go undrafted, I don't think they had anybody drafted, right? Washington. But all these guys, I think that Bryant and Ahmed came out as juniors. You just, you feel a little shortchanged. Like you came out and we'll see if there's college football this year. Anyway, Trey Adams, that's a fine pickup. Had a combine. It was interesting. He was super authentic at the combine. He wasn't doing the job interview stance, but that's okay. Maybe that also hurt him in teams' eyes. Markel Harrell, interesting guy. Hey, if you're a multi-year starter at Auburn on the offensive line, I'll give you a look as an undrafted free agent. They also got Josh Thomas, who was the leader of that Appalachian State defense, a safety. Again, they've been good at developing defensive backs. So the Bills looking for those diamonds in the rough.
Diamonds in the rough abound. And, what else abounds is some really interesting picks as we move on in the AFC East, recapping the 2020 NFL Draft. And we got to talk about the Miami Dolphins. And here you go, Tua Tagovailoa. Their guy, their future franchise quarterback, the tank for Tua, they didn't tank, but they still got Tua, and that was their guy. I mean, I know Herbert made a push. There were rumblings that they wanted to move up to number 1 and give the entire draft away. Here you go for Joe Burrow. Tua was their guy. Now, when will their guy be ready? Don't know. Maybe it's halfway through this season. Maybe he doesn't play at all this season. Maybe he starts week 1. That's up for great debate, Bloom. Of course, we've got plenty of time to debate those type of things, but Tua is the guy. And let's just put it this way. If Tua was no hip injury, 100% healthy, no problem, no question, he would have been on par or even thought higher of than Joe Burrow, because Burrow did it for a year. Tua did it for multiple years and played at an incredibly high level there in college at Alabama. So Tua is their guy. They stick put and they stay at 18. They were trying to move back into the top 10 for one of those top tackles. As we know, that tackle class certainly top heavy with the big 4, if you will, Bloom. They're not able to do it. They stay at 18. They go Austin Jackson, which is interesting. And also what's interesting, Bloom? Okay, so humble brag, I hit 10 picks in my first round mock, and all I did was just check in with team guys and be like, this is who I got, what do you think? And then I'd get a ton of answers. So I was checking in with some Miami people, let's just say that, and I was like, Austin Jackson at 18, what do you think? And I was told, like, I hope it doesn't go that way. So
Right.
I was kind of stuck with a tackle. I was also told they're trying to move into the 10s, for a tackle. So I was like, okay, well, it's tackle, it's QB, then it's tackle, then it's running back. We'll get to that in just a little bit. That's what I was told. So I was like, okay, just the way my mock fell, I was like, I gotta give you Jackson. I gotta do that. I did that, and they took him. So hooray. They trade back in the first round. They didn't get a DeAndre Swift, which could have been their target. Also, their target might have been Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There you go, Miami. Didn't get him either. We'll talk about him on Friday of these shows. But they moved back to 30. Noah Igbinoghene, cornerback from Auburn, probably hacked his name. Robert Hunt could have been a first-round pick. Tackle from Louisiana Lafayette. Raging Cajun there, guy, very versatile player, can play inside, can play outside as well, super mean. So they get him in the second round. Another second rounder, and Raekwon Davis, defensive tackle, Alabama. Third round, Brandon Jones, safety, Texas. Fourth round, Solomon Kinley, guard from Georgia, who, Georgia offensive line. Would they have three of those guys drafted in the first 4 rounds? It's Isaiah Wilson, of course, Andrew Thomas. Then we get to round 5, 2 picks, Jason Strowbridge, defensive end, North Carolina, and Curtis Weaver, edge player from Boise State. And then round 6, Blake Ferguson, a long snapper from LSU. Everybody from LSU is getting drafted. And then Malcolm Perry, athlete, wide receiver, gadget player from Navy.
Real interesting draft here, and this was the most interesting draft to watch. Very rarely, I can't even remember another instance like this. 6 of the top 70 picks, and a team that really, and remember, they still have Houston's first and second round pick next year. They can remake their team in the image of Brian Flores, and what are they going to do? What's the big unveil? Starting with Tua, and they didn't have to trade up for him. They didn't tank. They've got pride. They've got some wins. Remember, they staggered the Death Star before Tennessee blew it up last year. So, they got their guy. They've got Ryan Fitzpatrick. They don't need to rush Tua onto the field. Unless his body just breaks down, we're going to look back and say, how did they get him at number 5? How was he not? Why didn't they have to trade up? Why didn't somebody trade up to 3 or 4 for him? So kudos. If you're a Dolphins fan, it's been rough going through the Adam Gase years, but it was all for this. And here we are in the here and now. In the here and now, Austin Jackson. And we've seen picks like this go south, right? I mean, on the NFC East show, we talked about at least 2 tackles where we said everything's there, but it has to come together. Well, that's like a 3rd round pick and a 6th round pick, not a 1st round pick with Austin Jackson. But everything is there athletically that you want. You just need to see the game come together. And then we might as well throw Robert Hunt in there with him, the right tackle. So you have your future tackles. And the name here is Steve Marshall, the offensive line coach who goes back to the time with the Jets that he was with Chan Gailey. That's your MVP, hopefully, of the coaching staff to develop these guys, to get them ready to go. As you said, they traded down from 26, and it was actually, I saw more than one person, people that are usually trustworthy, say at the 26th pick they took DeAndre Swift, and they didn't. They traded down with Green Bay, and then they didn't take Swift at number 30 either. Yeah. And we'll talk a little more about what they did at running back. Even though they didn't take a running back, they did address the running back position in the draft. They get I'm going to get this right. Scott Wright, our old friend, does the pronunciation guide. Igbinoghene. Igbinoghene. I didn't love this pick in real time, Cease. Like 3rd corner. I mean, you got Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, the best 2 corners in the league. But it makes sense. Make a strength stronger. We're talking about all these teams, and Matt Walden brought this up right away. Teams having 3 good wide receivers, like, say, for instance, Buffalo. Again, teams, and I brought this up so many times during the draft. Teams look at their division opponents. First and foremost, you want to win the division. Although now that they have that extra playoff spot, maybe it's not quite as crucial to win the division, but still, teams want to win their division. So, and I think that it makes sense to develop him, and you have 3 great corners. Nothing wrong with that. they got Raekwon Davis, and some interesting picks here, right? So Jackson, an upside pick, the corner, an upside pick, Hunt, an upside pick, developmental picks, right? These are, I don't want to say boom bust picks, but they're picks that if they're developed, if all of their traits start to get married to skills and they get coached up, you've got picks potentially even better than the investment. Raekwon Davis is one of those guys, just massive, strong, disruptive to as far as tying up double teams, teaching him how to be a pass rusher. This is your 3-4 end, but 3-4 ends are doing just fine if they're creating production for other players. So that's what you see there. Brandon Jones, probably my least favorite of those top 6 picks, although they got shut out just on the outside of those top safeties. We're going to talk about Ashton Davis. He went to the Jets right before them. So if this safety was someone other than Brandon Jones, who's a little small, he's willing tackler, versatile player, but not the impact player of some of those safeties. Jeremy Chin went right ahead of them, so they just missed out getting one of them. Kindley, you mentioned those Georgia linemen, a street fighter, needs some refinement. And then you have to like this, right? They needed running back. They did sign Jordan Howard, but this Cease is really embracing that analytics view of we're not going to invest a lot of running back. And you can get guys year after year off the street who are at least adequate running backs. And in free agency, you can get players like a Jordan Howard, right? What did Jordan Howard cost? $10 million for 2 years? Jordan Howard is a good NFL running back. Maybe he's not a 3-down NFL running back, but he's going to add value in your running game, right? I mean, Jordan Howard is going to make a running game, as long as the offensive line is competent, work. They send a 5th-round pick to San Francisco for Matt Breida. Now, congratulations to San Francisco for getting a 5th out of Breida with a $3.3 million deal. But look, Breida can play. Breida's better than any running back that went on the 3rd day. No doubt. You're only going to get 1 year for your 5th-round pick. Maybe if he stays healthy and plays well, you get some sort of comp pick back, or you sign him to a longer deal. Breida and Howard are a real nice combination, too.
Right.
You have one set of running plays for Howard, the other set of running plays for Breida. Again, you got to get your offensive line coached up in execution. But these are both players that add value, and they didn't have to spend any of these premium picks on running backs. So I like that. Strawbridge is a strong, another grinder, maybe another 3-4 end. Weaver, big time sack artist. Tons of production. If you like production, you like Weaver. Maybe again more of a specialist, a rush specialist. That's fine though. You got these guys like Davis tying up double teams, pushing the pocket, and you have these guys on the outside to get a long snapper, like you said. And then Malcolm Perry. And one of the biggest upsets of the draft season is that Bill Belichick didn't take him, right?
Right.
I mean, can do everything, a Navy guy. How is this not a Patriots pick? Although with all of these different Patriots bloodlines out there in coaching staffs. But yeah, he can be an option quarterback. He can be a slot receiver. Or he can do so many things. I want to say them all at once, and I can't even do that. He can play return game. So this is exactly the kind of undrafted free agent we like to watch.
Well, Belichick's just waiting, or his dog's waiting, for them to try to sneak Perry through to the practice squad so they can snatch him up.
Right.
Yeah, that's what happens. Let's talk about undrafted free agents. For the Dolphins, there's a few. Kirk Merritt, the Oregon transfer, Arkansas State, scored a bunch of touchdowns last year. Deep Dynasty, it's a name I'll be keeping an eye on. Bloom, who do you like from this group?
Yeah, I got ahead of myself because Perry got drafted. Benito Jones and Ray Lima, run stuffers. But again, this shows me that they have clarity, on what you have to invest to get competent players, right? If you want a run stuffer, you don't have to take a run stuffer in the 2nd or 3rd round or in the 1st round, linebacker, Seattle. You can get a run-stuffing defensive tackle outside of the draft who can do that job, play that role for you. So congratulations, Dolphins. It seems like your front office knows what they're doing. Let's
get to the New England Patriots. And with their 1st-round pick, they don't take anybody. They trade back. But they get a guy in Kyle Duggar, safety from Lenore-Ryan, who saw down at the Senior Bowl. He can play with the big guys, the big competition, the higher competition than he saw. Division II star who, is his safety, is an inside linebacker, whatever. He can hit and he can cover. So there you go. Kyle Duggar is a kind of one of those perfect, versatile. I think that's a key word for this Patriots draft that they pick up in the 2nd round at number 37. Josh Uche, linebacker from Michigan, they get in the second round. And then Anthony Jennings, third round pick from Alabama, edge player. A couple of tight ends, including a favorite, Devon Sassi, tight end UCLA. But then Dalton Keene, I was going to talk about Dalton Keene, Bloom. I was going to spend some time here with Dalton because I've known him since he was a freshman quarterback with my son at Chatfield Chargers, baby. And a few things about Dalton. One, because he's a converted quarterback, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some gadget plays with him. I asked him at the combine if he could be like a Taysom Hill type of player. You see that he was a running back. They converted him in high school to running back, made him the centerpiece of the offense. He was outstanding as a running back and then on defense as well. So you have an H-back, you have a tight end, you have a fullback, you have a running back, maybe a gadget quarterback. Like there's a lot to like here with Dalton. And I never would have thought that he would be a pick to the Patriots. Although now that it's done, it just makes so much sense. And I felt, somewhere in the mid rounds, maybe, fourth round pick, something like that. Third round pick for the Patriots, hardworking kid, great kid, by the way, academic All-American as well. So very, very happy, incredibly happy for Dalton to get picked and be in the NFL and be a third round pick for the Patriots as they try to find some tight end help. Let's get to their final day of the draft, round 5. Kicker, Justin Rohrwasser from Marshall. 6th round, Mike Onwenu, guard from Michigan. Another guard, Justin Huron from Wake Forest up next. Then Cash Malawa from Wyoming. Saw him at the pro day up in Laramie. And I noticed the Patriots spent a lot of time there. Logan Wilson was there as well. But Cash put on a hell of a show. So if you talk about, special teams guy, throw him on, have him rush the quarterback as a part-time guy, I like that landing spot. Really hard worker there as well. Dustin Woodard, as they wrap it up, center for Memphis in round 7. No first rounder, no quarterback, Bloom.
Right.
But some interesting picks. Versatile is the name of the game for this Patriots draft.
As always. And Belichick said it wasn't by design that they didn't take a quarterback. Not sure what that means because they could have taken Jordan Love. I don't know what else. Jalen Hurts. I don't know. As you say, they trade down and they get a second or third for their first round pick. I suppose before we jump into the Patriots draft class, not only was the Death Star blown up, not only did Tom Brady leave, but the Patriots are in a tight spot right now. There was some talk they might trade Joe Thuney. They need to open up cap room. They don't have enough cap room for their draft picks right now. I don't know if they'll sign Thuney to some sort of long-term deal to open up temporary cap room. Rob Gronkowski dictated to Bill Belichick what was going to happen, not the other way around. That's not usually how it goes. So it was an important draft to see what Belichick was going to do. Gets Duggar, and see, we talk about this during the draft season a lot. If you're going to take a small school player high, you want to see him just dominate, just look like a man among boys, and that was Duggar. I mean, he's athletic. He can do everything that you ask a safety to do. For now, he can be a third safety with McCourty and Chung, but I love this pick. I believe the first safety taken in an Xavier McKinney, I think went right before him, but excellent safety class. They got one of the best. Uche, versatile, the classic Patriots pick, right? Versatile. You see some flashes as an edge rusher. You see some flashes against the run. You see some things that he can do. Where does he fit? These kinds of players, the Patriots can make a lot out of. Jennings might have been a bit of a reach. He's smart. He's physical. Not sure if he has that high of a ceiling as an edge rusher. I had to mention, I wish I remember who said this season. We were talking tight ends a couple weeks ago on the Thursday night show. We were talking about Devin Asiasi. Somebody in the chat room said, I like Asiasi, but his name literally means, so. I knew you like that one. Yeah, a late bloomer. You watch him play, and he's strong, and he's big, and he can go up for the ball, and he is not someone you want to try to bring down in the open field. So there's some upside there. Well, another interesting thing here, by the way, is Belichick ends up giving up 6 picks to move up twice. Remember, he moved up twice to get Dante Hightower and Chandler Jones that one year. Mm-hmm. This wasn't quite Dante Hightower and Chandler Jones, and And it's not Gronk and Hernandez. It's kind of like Gronk and Hernandez from the discount store, right? But he gave up 6 picks. He got back a 5th rounder also. 6 picks to move up and get a CSE and Dalton Keene, and they go together really well. They complement each other well, allow the Patriots to get right into those 2 tight end sets. Wide receiver, not exactly a position of strength. Again, no wide receivers. Rohrwasser, not one of the top-ranked kickers, but Belichick liked him because it's Marshall, West Virginia. He's kicked outside in the elements. Okay, yeah. A couple of, a drive blocking guard, a zone guard, some versatility there. Not a splashy draft. No. Patriots type of guys. Not a draft that you say they retrenched and they're ready. No, I mean, I think this is a kind of a rebuilding draft, or certainly a draft that says they don't feel urgency to try to catch back up to the Bills or keep pace with the Dolphins. They're going to just do the Patriots thing.
They'll do the Patriots thing, which means as an undrafted free agent, why not go get Will Hastings? Why not go get an Auburn receiver that's a slot receiver that Jarrett Stidham knows?
Yep.
That's... You could have guessed this one. Like, oh, what? Slot receiver, Auburn, Jarrett Stidham's their guy. Okay, undrafted Will Hastings, wide receiver. Let's go. LFG is what he said, I think, on Instagram. So let's talk about these Patriots undrafted guys.
Yeah, that's notable. I mean, I think they only gave him $7,000 or something, but they get Stidham's slot receiver. Jeff Thomas is the guy I want to talk about here from Miami. Athletically, he can be close-ish to, in terms of how he would be used, a Devin Duvernay, a KJ Hamler, even. Not quite as athletically gifted as Hamler, but a lot of speed and quickness. Character issues, falls out of the draft, but especially with the team, he's the most dynamic receiver they have on the roster, basically, in terms of speed and quickness. So I'll be interested to see if he can make the team. It's going to be a roster crunch. Wide receiver now, I don't know if Jacoby Myers is going to make it. I don't know. Last year's undrafted free agent receiver, we'll see about Marquise Lee. So some interesting camp battles coming up. If Thomas slips through the practice squad, I would keep an eye on him.
Interesting New York Jets draft as they start things off in the first round with Mekhi Becton. We knew that was going to be tackle or wide receiver. They got their wide receiver. They got a potential first-round wide receiver. But first, let's talk about Becton. Had the, diluted test, right, at the combine, whatever is whatever. You know that you get a mountain of a man. It's very agile. I hate Anonymous Scout, hate with the fire of 1,000 suns. Anonymous Scout, put your name on it, because there's a lot of BS that comes out right before the draft, by the way. Notice how that works. Jerry Jeudy and his knee, everybody. We'll talk about that BS coming up in the Broncos show. What am I saying? This is a Broncos show. But Mekhi Becton had the same, Anonymous Scout. Well, he loves cooking. I don't know how much he loves football. Oh, my God. Talked to Mekhi before the draft, the week before the draft, and he's at 363. So for all the people he's 390, nope. No. Mekhi Becton's at 363. And sure, he loves to cook. I could give a damn. This is a great player, fantastic player for them. If you want to say shades of DeBrickashaw, right? Mm-hmm. If you're a Jets fan, there you go. Denzel Mims. Talked to him before the draft as well. Denzel Mims, wonderful my ball mentality, explosiveness, knows how to work the sideline, knows how to maybe even push off a little bit. He's got some route savvy there at the end, that body control, not CeeDee Lamb body control, but certainly saw some twisting, turning catches in film. And of course at the Senior Bowl as well, where he was dazzling. He was fantastic. If Denzel Mims would have been picked where Brandon Ayuk was picked, or picked where Justin Jefferson was picked, or picked where Jalen Reagor was picked, right? If he would have been picked there, I wouldn't have been surprised at all whatsoever. Denzel Mims can play. So good job here, Jets, to get your tackle and get a first-round graded wide receiver in this great class. Ashton Davis, you mentioned safety Cal. Here we go. Safety play abounds for this team. And, well, we'll see what the future holds for Ashton Davis there. Then they move on, another third-round pick, Jabari Zuniga. Zuniga, edge of Florida. There we go. Round 4, LaMichael Pirine, running back Florida. And then round 4, James Morgan, quarterback Florida International. What did we hear about James Morgan before the draft, right? We heard big arm, can't throw it in the ocean standing on the beach. Well, guess what James Morgan is? I think I saw him down at the Shrine Bowl as well. Big arm, can't throw it in the ocean standing on the beach. Another fourth rounder, Cameron Clark, guard from Charlotte. Then the fifth round, they get Bryce Hall, cornerback, Virginia. Thought he might get picked in the third round. And then rounded out with the punter, Brandon Mann, Texas A&M.
Joe Douglas's first draft. And we see always that awkward situation. Mike McCagnon, dead man walking, but still they don't want to clear the deck of the scouting staff last year. So Joe Doug, good draft. Good draft Jets. Good draft Browns. Good draft Cowboys. What's going on?
That's weird.
Yeah, right. Mekhi Becton. And see, so if I say the name Duke Manyweather to you, an offensive line coach, he was going to the mat for Becton. Ceiling. You know, if Andrew Thomas was the floor pick, Jedrick Will's a floor pick, Wirf's a ceiling pick, and Mekhi Becton has maybe the highest ceiling. Another late bloomer, really came on this year and just has that Orlando pace, Jonathan Ogden body type, you know, with athleticism that's just overwhelming, right? I mean, you try to run some of these 240-pound, 250-pound pesky edge rushers at him, he could just engulf them. He can just devour them. And a great pick for the Jets. Great pick. They get Mims after a trade down. That's nice.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Mims, I wish the Steelers would have taken Mims instead of Claypool. Just wins in the air, incredible adjustments to the ball in flight, has some deep speed. I think he can replace Robbie Anderson just fine and maybe do more than Robbie Anderson. Love this pick for them. They get Davis. Davis is, I mean, ceiling to go with any safety in a good safety draft. Ashton Davis, hyper athletic, was a walk-on, can return kicks. And think about him with Jamal Adams, as long as they can keep Jamal Adams. Wow. I mean, two safeties that can do everything. Adams is their best pass rusher. Davis gives them someone who can cover the back end. They get Zuniga, maybe an interior rusher. You know, he's versatile. He's athletic. Maybe could be more consistent. It wasn't a great edge class. You know,
right.
You look at the edge class after the first rounders, and you always, can he stay healthy? Can he be consistent? Can he develop this? That's what you were looking at if you wanted to add. The Jets always looking for some edge rushers. LaMichael Pirine, overachiever. Can we say that? Classic overachiever, gets more out of what he has than he should, but a decent all-around back, can probably be the top backup to Le'Veon Bell and play some sort of committee role after Bell leaves next year. James Morgan, your classic tough guy, plays through injuries, got the arm, developmental fourth-round quarterback. I'm fine with that. Cameron Clark, and this is interesting, Cease, and I always like to drop little scouting nuggets in here, right?
Okay.
Another thing in player evaluation that the league relies on, that perhaps if you like to dabble in this, is for these small school players, you take that game against top competition, and basically everything they do against the lower competition isn't as important as that one game against top competition. Clark against Clemson was one of the best offensive linemen on the field. So that alone makes me interested. He's got length. He's got power. He can maybe play tackle, maybe play guard. Bryce Hall is a classic zone corner. He's got that length. He's got that aggressiveness as a fifth-round pick. And they get the punter, but they get one of the better punters in the draft. They get a punter who can tackle. Remember Daniel Sepulveda?
Right.
They get a punter who can handle kickoffs. They get a punter who is the best in college at pinning teams inside the 20. So at least it's not a third-round pick. Remember Brian Anger ahead of Russell Wilson? You know, you take a punter in the sixth round, and it's the best punter in the draft. Okay, Jets. I'll even say that fits into a good draft.
Okay, Jets. Let's look over your undrafted free agents. And for the Jets, they got Lamar Jackson. Not that one, of course. They got Nebraska's Lamar Jackson. Big, strong corner. Okay, I'll take that. Saw him at the Senior Bowl. There's another drink, maybe.
Yeah.
Very dangerous to play that game. So, yeah, Lamar Jackson stands out here. Bloom, who are your Jets UDFAs you like?
Yeah, I was going to mention Jackson. How many 6'3", 215-pound corners are there? So Jackson actually was a former high school quarterback, too. Javelin Guidry. 4-2-9 corner needs to learn to play the position. He's only 5'9", but 4-2-9 corner. Okay, this is exactly what you should be doing with your undrafted free agents, right? And Lawrence Cager played a year at Georgia, big, can go up and win at the catch point. Not sure what else, but they need help at outside receiver. Maybe Cager develops this year on the practice squad, and then next year, if they don't keep Brashad Perryman, maybe there's a role for him. Maybe there's a spot. We'll see what Vincent Smith can do, of course, who they stole from the Texans last year. So, yeah, I liked what the Jets did.
It is Bizarro World.
Yeah.
That's for sure. It is the Audible, the footballguys.com podcast. Appreciate everyone for listening, iTunes, Spotify, etc. Appreciate you guys for watching on our YouTube channel. Help us out. You love us. Well, help us. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video as well. Hit the notification bell. All those hoops you need to jump through for YouTube. We certainly do appreciate. And Bloom, it's just been nice. It's nice to be back in the rhythm here doing these shows.
Yeah, and every draft deserves attention. Every player drafted deserves this little treatment here, gets to hear his name called on the Audible. I know it's only the second after hearing your name called in the draft. We love getting together with everybody. We like, and see, I think this is just fun for me because in the process of doing these shows, it kind of cements in my head these draft picks. I'll actually have a chance to remember them in my Swiss cheese brain. We get to react to each other real time about some of these picks. I know that, just because of our schedules and everything that's been going on, we haven't had a chance to talk draft as much as we normally would. So it's a lot of fun. I like the fact that in the chat room, we'll see people that we see them and we know them, but it's their team, and they sit up a little closer, pay a little closer attention, and we love serving. We love having a role in your life. We're honored. It's a privilege to do that, and I hope we get to do this next year's Cleveland. See, you missed out on Vegas, but you might get to go to Cleveland.
Hey. We'll turn it into Vegas. Am I right, fellas? Yeah. By the way, it's going to Vegas the year after that, right?
Yeah, they're going to get
it up.
Yeah.
Get him a makeup, get him a mulligan there. So we'll be back. We are back. We'll be back tomorrow morning, of course. Never eat sour wheat. So that means South, NFC South, AFC South coming up tomorrow on the Audible. He's Sigmund Bloom. Follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. The show is at the Audible. And I'm at Cecil Lammey saying thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. And as always, stay frosty.